Hopefully this is working. Hello, can you guys hear me? Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, I've been live for a hot second. Can you guys hear me okay? We're doing okay? All right. All right. So thank you for your patience. Sorry I'm late. Let everybody know I'm finally live. Um, so guys, we're going to have some discussions today about Astroworld. I'm going to take this from a different perspective. Um, I'm going to go deep into the astrology of it all. And we're going to have some discussions about the not just only the astrology, we're going to briefly talk about that today. We're going to touch on some of the frequencies of the music that was played during the situation. And I'm actually going to go on and discuss some things that I've discovered through. I hope you guys can hear me. Okay, good. I'm not muted. My God, today. I'm also going to look at Travis's his birth chart and the transit chart of the day of November the 5th. So we got a lot to cover. I'm going to go on and play my intro and get some folks, let folks know that we're here and we're live, and we will go at it in just a minute. All right, thanks. Welcome back. So I'm going to do a brief, for those of you who do not know what happened on February, Friday, November the 5th, 2021. I'm going to go into some brief discussion about that, and we will then get into the depths of the astrology. I'm not going to hold you long right now. We'll probably have some more discussions about this as the week progresses, but I wanted to at least bring this aspect of this to you guys. Now, for those of you who do not know, Travis Scott is a hip-hop rap artist. He is probably more famously known as Kylie Jenner's baby daddy of both the children. And he's been around for a little while. And he every year for the last, I believe, at least 3 to 4 years, at least, has held this Astroworld Music Festival in Houston, where he is originally from. Travis Scott is not necessarily a rapper or an artist that I would typically listen to. You know, he's had a hit or two here and there. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just telling you. But his concerts, from what I'm understanding and what I've heard, are typically, there's a lot of like this kind of rage. So if you want to think of like what some of us that of a certain age would think more of like the punk rock, the mosh pitting, the rages, and you know, it's very much elevated to a lot more than just what it used to be. But his concerts tend to have a lot of that very, I'm going to come short of saying the D word, but very dark, shadowy, angry energy. Okay. It's, you know, let it go, rah, rah, you know, a lot of that. There are some dance, you know, I mean, there's dance I'm sure you can do to it, but he's not a feel good necessarily, you know what I'm saying, a kind of rapper kind of thing. And he is cross cultural. His fans are very much cross cultural. I find that interesting in the juxtaposition of, some of you may or may not know that he's had a McDonald's, you know, meal and all of this stuff, you know. So it's this interesting, you know, there's this appeal to the children, which, considering the conversation that has been had surrounding some other artists that, you know, supposedly are appealing to children, and the issues that people have, and we'll probably have a Spirit After Dark discussion about that. You know, here we have a man that is not necessarily preaching love and light. Okay? Let's just, or not singing, not rapping about love and light. Let's just put it that way. So this all occurred down in Houston. It was an all-day festival. And you can go to many, many different YouTube channels and get TikToks and get a whole lot of other background information about it. But the basic thing that happened is, as a result of unknown things at this point, at least 8 people, and I'm hearing now it's up to 11 people, unfortunately lost their lives. Some of them as young as 14. Hundreds of people were injured. The crowd was only supposed to be 50,000, and there are alleged reports that there was a tweet that was sent out by him earlier in the day, and he encouraged his fans to come and basically sneak in, even if they didn't have a ticket. Okay, so from what the fire chief and the police chief have now said down in Houston, it ended up with 200,000 people in a setup that was solely meant to hold or be able to handle 50,000, allowing people to be able to get in, get out, the EMS, to be able to handle that group of people, the security, Houston police, this was not set up for 200,000. But we're hearing various things have happened. So I'm going to touch on some of those things first, and then we're going to discuss it a little bit more. I want to welcome everyone in the chat, and I do apologize that I'm kind of rushing through this, but I want to get this information out, and then we're going to talk about some other things tonight, especially with this 11/11 portal opening up. So some things that I've noticed, and again, you can go on, there's many on TikTok, and we'll do a deeper dive into this if you guys want me to, in the coming days. But there's many reports by many different people that people were literally falling out, passing out throughout the day, that these people, I have not heard of any of these, unfortunately, these young people, very young people that lost their lives, passing away from anything except for heart attacks, which I'm going to discuss that in that's interesting. I want you guys to remember that as we're talking about frequencies and potential activations of things that may or may not have been in people's bloodstreams and things of that nature, or just simply the fact it's interesting that people's hearts stopped. It could have been from a myriad of things. However, when I hear about this happening, people falling out, passing out, waking up in a complete daze, like, where am I at? What the heck just happened to me? And from what I've been able to piece together, these falling out episodes, and then I would think somewhat believe the heart attacks, happened right at the same time there were certain tonalities being played. Okay? There were certain tones being played. Now, you guys, if you've been with me for a little while or you're just discovering me, we're big on frequency here, right? This is the whole thing about love and light and ascension and DNA light codes being turned on, and what frequencies are you allowing to come into your auric field, how those frequencies affect. They can heal, they can also destroy. And I want you all to understand throughout this entire conversation, the tools of the light can be used the same way in an opposite polarity for the tools of darkness. Shadow magic, dark magic works the same way. And when I say it works the same way, I mean the basic tenets, the basic applications. Do A, B, C, D, and E, and you get F. Works the same on the dark as it does in the light. We need to comprehend that. There is an equal and opposite polarity for everything in the universe. for everything in the universe. Okay? If we fail to recognize and remember that, we are going to fail to be aware of how these things can be utilized. Hello, everyone coming in. Yes, Tamika, thank you. Tamika is saying, and I'm sorry I'm not on Restream. I couldn't get that to work, so I very much apologize. There was a mini cartoon style concert on Fortnite, and there's so much I want to focus on the astrology today. We're going to focus on in the spirit after dark. And I might even just put it up for you guys to come to the website and do that. So because I want to get deeper into some of this stuff. His static is not frequency. It distorts the mind. His static absolutely is frequency, Sydney. Everything is frequency. My voice is frequency. What's going on in my hands is frequency. This labradorite is frequency. Everything is made up of frequencies. The static is in and of itself a frequency. And I will tell you this as well. Just like there's a lot of us with our meditations that we put underlying delta waves, alpha waves, theta waves, beta waves. We'll put underlying wavelengths and frequencies underneath the music to help effectuate a result. In fact, there was a TikTok, and as I'm able to gather more of these, I will do so. Triple Extacion was talking to DJ Academics, and he was talking about how even in his music, that in most of the artists, there's this underlying frequency, and that they know that if they have the music at a certain frequency, they can do things to your mind. But I'm going to propose something else. Kanye talked about this too, about how they've changed the 808 right over the course of time. The 808 beat has something underneath it. They mess with the hertz to do something different to you. I'm going to tell you something. It's more than just to your mind. And I believe what we've seen in this case is what a frequency can do to the body. We've already known this. We've already known this. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna get his music. Yeah, it's meant to distort their minds. Exactly. Now, yeah, listen, I'm a woman of a certain age. Okay? Woman of a certain age. And back in my day, in my college years, I was just reminded by one of my exes that dated me in my college years and sent me some pictures of me at 18. Child, I need to put it on the YouTubes and the Instagram so y'all can see what I was doing. Anyway, my point being is this. Back in the 80s and the early, mid, and late 80s, and even into the 90s, there was something called house music. For those of y'all that in y'all 40s and 50s, y'all, maybe probably the 60s, y'all was out there dancing to it too. There was this thing called house music, right? It was the next generation after disco. And in fact, there were a lot of disco stars, disco beats, disco songs that were then turned into house music beats and house music songs and house music tracks. And this is really when the mixers and everything, they really, they came up during this time period. If you were a good DJ and you could bring that beat in and get people moving and bring that beat down and get people, we were doing a thing then. Okay. Now I was a very different person at that point. Big in NYC. I was in the in Chicago. It was a big thing, right? Certain DJs were big in New York. Certain DJs were big in Chicago. Certain DJs were big on the West Coast. It was a thing, and we'd have different DJs that would come and tour the country. And if you were with this one and that one or the third. My point to the matter is this. I would go to these underground clubs. One of them was actually called the Underground. And it had, in Chicago, so those of you that were in there in that time, lived in that area, in that time period, y'all know what I'm talking about. The Underground had 3 different levels. It had a top level that typically was like salsa and yada yada, skippy. And then it had a mid-level that was like the mainstream house music. But down below in the basement, it was actually called the Warehouse. Down below in the basement was the Deep House. And when I tell you that basement, it was huge. It was a huge warehouse. And the basement was, concrete, basically. They painted over the concrete and this, that, and the third. And it was sweaty and it was funky, boy. And it was, I mean, it was just like that scene you see in the Matrix, and Matrix 2, I think it is, where they're all dancing and it's kind of this fiery situation and it's heavy drums. Let me tell you, some of them drum beats, some of those beats, underlying beats in that house music would get your sacral chakra activated. Let's just say your root and your sacral chakra activated to the point there it was nothing to see people having sex on the floor in front of hundreds of a packed group, because that is what that trance, that is what that music brought out in you. That very primal, sexual, sensual, all of that. It was nothing to see that. It was nothing to see women with their dresses hiked up. I'm just telling you now. Listen. Yep, the rave scene and all in the UK. Exactly. So these are the things that, you know, we understand music can do. If you in the black church, you all know when them certain when that organist hit them two chords, it's on and popping. So let's not think that music can't do something to you. It will make you feel a way. It will make you act a way. It will get you to a point where you do a thing. The frequency, the vibration, it does a thing to you. So I need y'all to understand, because, and I'm not saying any of y'all listen to Travis Scott stuff, but I want y'all to understand so you could tell your friends, tell your children, help them understand this is what's happening with our music. The music, period. And we have to pay attention. Now, I say all that to say this. There were different times throughout the entire time period of this entire day that there were these tones being played, this music being played that was not any of the performers' music. You know, Master P was there and SZA was there and the baby was there. There was a whole lot of people. And if you've been to any sort of concert or any sort of festivals, I'm not that old to know. Now, I don't think it's that different. I'm not too old to know that in between sets, in between artists, they either play the next artist's music or they'll play some old school stuff or all of that kind of, right? They'll do that. But instead of that, what was being played was these tones. And more than one little TikToker here has said that those tones, it was weird. It was strange. Some have even called it demonic. And when those tones were being played, people were falling out. Random people. It was too early in the darn day for them to be dehydrated, child. Now, could they have been on some sort of psychedelic? They could have been. They could. I mean, that's what goes on at these situations, right? Back in our day, it was just the weed. And maybe a little something else and something else. But, you know, not like now. So any of you all that have done any sort of psychedelics, you know, I don't know for sure, but I've heard that when you're listening to various types of music, it will induce certain different types of reactions. Even those that go for ayahuasca and things of that nature that go on these right journeys. If you're taking a psychedelic, there's a certain drum beat, there's a certain this, there's a certain that. In shamanism, drums are very important. Rattles, flutes, music, very important. It induces you into a specific state. It interacts with your higher being, with your energetic being that, please let us not forget, controls your avatar. It is the puppet master. If you think that your mind is the only thing that controls your body, you are sadly and sorely mistaken. And unfortunately, these thousands and thousands of young people experience and now know this in a very low, dark, vibrational way as a result of Astroworld. I'm not going to discuss whether or not here, whether or not I believe it was some sort of ritual. I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to host a live event free on my website, and we will discuss it there. So I will start promoting that, and then I want you all to proliferate that link it will be a free, maybe even a members only or something like that situation that we're going to do. But let us, I will say this, there is numerology that points to certain things. There were, and I don't have the photographs, but there were 8, I've got a lot of notes here, guys. There were 8 pyrotechnics that went up, and there were 8 people that passed away. The significance of number 8, and let me just bring that numerology because I wanted to be sure I read it correctly. The meaning of number 8 in numerology has a lot. The symbolism of it is it is associated with the woman's vagina, and that is to say the door through which, the portal through which new life enters the world. Okay, positive, new life enters the world, but it is a portal. It can be flipped around to be used on the opposite. There was an eye symbolism up in there denoting, you know, as what people will call the all-seeing eye. Well, let's not forget that's also the eye of Horus, which is not, it's not shadow at all. But the shadow has taken that symbolism and put it over on their side for their use. They're not creating anything. Light creates, darkness destroys. There was what some people are calling a phoenix, and now all of a sudden people are feeling like phoenixes are demonic. They're absolutely not demonic. However, used in this realm, in this way, it's used for dark. The dying and rising up from the ashes is a beautiful thing. When you rise up from the ashes of the destruction that has happened in your world, it is a beautiful thing. This rebirth is a beautiful thing. However, when used on this side, what are you being reborn to? What portal are you coming through? Who's birthing you? And what is being birthed? What are you being ushered into? The reason why I call this the other side is the whole thing was see you on the other side. Well, let me tell you something. You could transition and be going in a different direction. And whilst I'm not saying I necessarily believe in hell as hell, okay, and at some point we'll talk about that, but I do believe you could transition into lower vibrational energies. And I do believe, okay, let me move. Numerology, the number 8 promises success only if you're consistent and disciplined. Now, in the light side, it would say choosing good seeds. In the dark side, okay, with the promise of rewarding your efforts. The number 8 is the combination of the cross and, the combination of the cross and the square. The combination, now, not the cross as we think of it, with the cross being, the cross hair being raised up. We're talking about an actual, just a plus sign and the square. And if you put the two like this way, it can create the number 8. But so it brings those two things together, giving stability in material life. If you wanted to get material success beyond what you already have, because let's be real, the man ain't Drake. Not yet. So if you wanted to get there, you might want to invoke the power of the number 8. It's a magnified 4. 4 plus 4 equals 8, giving us control of the land, its resources, and its products. And it is a number of material power as well as banking and finance. 8 pyrotechnics. They kept pushing on 8 people, 8 people, 8 people transition, 8 people transition, 8 people transition. Come on now. Come on now. Negatively, it can be very demanding, self-centered, materialistic, strong-tempered, intolerant, stubborn, and cold. Not knowing when to pause, not knowing when to stop. And could generate health problems since the person under the vibration of the number 8 or it being pushed out would sometimes go to extremes, and their body and mind cannot withstand the extremes. Now, we'll dive into the karma of it all soon enough. We'll dive into the karma of it all soon enough. But I wanted to, let me get back to I can't find my chat. I wanted to dive into that. Now let's get to, because I'm not going to hold you. I'm going to give you some things to marinate on, and we'll have some more discussion about this. Let's go to the charts. The first chart that you can see here, hopefully you can see it well, and I will go and try to also blow this up. This is the chart of November 5th, 2021 at 12 a.m. So this is the energy as it was being presented. Now I'm going to show you a few more as we keep going forward. The chart as it was being presented. Let's talk about a couple things that I want to stress to you. The sun and the moon were both in Scorpio to start the day off. Okay. Mars was also in Scorpio. Mars is the original ruler of Scorpio. The original ruler of Scorpio. Okay. The sun, as you can see, was in opposition to Uranus and retrograde, and that's going to be very, very important. I want us to pay attention to certain things. The sun was also trining Pisces Neptune in retrograde in Pisces. That is a strong energy of deep occult delusion, of deep occult trance, of deep ability to put somebody into a dark, deep trance state that they cannot come back from. Not knowing what in the world happened, why it happened, how in the hell it happened. Do you see? Remember, Neptune and Pisces, Neptune does rule the underworld as well. It was a ruler of the deep sea. Okay? He's the ruler of the sea, of the depth of spirituality. That can either be good or that can be bad. A sea is also symbolic of a group of people. Biblically, those of you that are students of the Bible will know and will remember that there are times that are referenced a sea being a group of people. This is occultic, the possibility for dark occult, because remember, occult just means hidden wisdom. So dark occult energy being magnified and people being able to be put in trances and people being highly affected by it. You also have this aggressive Mars energy, like I'm home-ish. I'm home. I'm going to mess some things up. We're going to party. We're going to do some things. We're going to make some things happen. We're going to make some things happen. It was also sextiling by degree Venus. Mars was sextiling Venus down here. As it was exiting Sagittarius and entering Capricorn. My interpretation, you can listen to other people's. You're more than welcome to it. My interpretation is as it was coming into this strong sextile, as Venus was coming into Capricorn, this is kind of merging that male and female energy in agreement to bring about foundational and take control over what was being birthed within people underneath this spell. And I'm going to call it a spell. You know why I'm going to call it a spell? You know why I'm going to call it a spell? Because listen to me. Everything I did an Instagram reel about this. Follow me on Instagram at Heart of INSP. You can find the link there's a Linktree link. You can go follow me there. Everything that is said, every prayer that is said, every song that is sung is a spell. You are always doing word magic. You could put somebody in a trance. We already talked about this with a beat, with a tone, with the music. You could do all that. Child, let me tell you something. I'm sitting there listening to some Walker songs on Saturday night. I was I was under that spell, child. You get to a spell, no matter, you can get caught up in it. Spells can be good, spells can be bad. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Now, feel how you wanna. But as I'm lit, as this inspirational, right, Sagittarius, I'm giving you a gift, I'm giving you a gift, and this whole come to the other side situation is happening. It's in agreement with this darkness. Okay. What else did I see? Also, the sun was squaring Jupiter for the majority of that day in Aquarius. So this gives this like forcefulness of it's time to enact. It's time to do the thing. It's time to give this gift. It's time to expand, Mr. Scott, my horizons, my control over, my spell binding over the masses. And also, let's not forget that basically Uranus, the Sun, and Saturn created pretty much a T-square here. It's a little bit wonky, so we're just exiting out of this T-square by the 5th, and that is a lot of catalytic energy. So we've got the Uranus in retrograde, which when Uranus is retrograde, it wants big things. Uranus always wants big things to be happening, big change, and it somewhat slows it down when in a big way when it's in retrograde. So either we really fight it or we don't. And it can cause frustration, but what it can also cause is impatience and impulsivity. So there was an impulsivity in the air. Let's impulsively go and break down all these barriers. And no, we don't have a god darn ticket, but who cares? Nobody's looking. Yes, let's rage. Yes, let's do all these, right? Yes, let's, whoa. It causes this commotion, man. There's this motion, this energy that's being whipped up because of all this aggression. Saturn, no longer in retrograde in Aquarius, direct now, is saying, oh yeah, let's use some new technologies. Let's reset some things. Let's start some things new. And let's make it prolific throughout the entirety of the collective. This is on a high level what I see when I see this. Now, what I also want to do is, let me do this. Let me go back. Sorry, guys. While I'm changing this around, hopefully it works. I want you, I'm actually just going to go to his chart, the transit chart. Make sure that's showing now. Bear with me. All right, this is his transit chart. Let me check the chat real quick. Sorry, guys. I know I'm going fast. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. You guys tracking with me? You guys tracking? Thank you for dropping a like, a share, a subscribe. Thank you for doing that. I'm actually probably going to show couple other things, but we'll go deeper into that another time. Okay. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry, Janelle, I missed yours. All right, awesome. Here we go. And his Kardashian Jenner. Yes, child. And you know they brought Stormy to this during concert. I'm just gonna let that sit. Okay, can you guys see this chart? Everything in blue are his natal placements. Now, of course, I don't have his time of birth. I just have his date. He's a Taurus. I have his, as you can see down here, his sun's down here. Okay. I'm going to blow this up a little bit more and we'll just move it up and down. He's a Taurus sun. Because I don't have his time of birth and he was born in Houston. He could be anywhere from a first decan moon in Sag to a third decan moon in Scorpio. Just there's like a 10-degree difference for the sake of this, because when you don't have a time for someone to do a birth chart, there's a range. I may lean towards somewhere in here for his moon. I'm okay with it being 0 degrees Sag. But I would even say late degree Scorpio, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm gonna just highlight a few things that made this the perfect day for him to do this, and then we'll probably close out with the chart at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. I want you to see something here. Transiting Uranus in retrograde in Taurus, conjunct his sun. It's within a couple of degrees. That's very conjunct. What does that mean? Themes around money, security, tangible objects, stability, our bodies, and where we place value. Creates tension. Taurus energy can be stubborn, and Uranus is the bringer of chaos and forced change. So if you want to be in your complete power to create chaos and forced change in a way that's not of the light, I would say your sun, sitting in your ego, your third dimensional greatness of power, doing it on this day would probably be an amazing thing. What else did I notice? I noticed that transiting Neptune was squaring his natal Venus in Gemini. He was going to put out there his intellectual being, his mental being, what he wanted to convey and get people to do was very much what he wished to bring forth into the world. And if you tie all this together with all of this, the eight energy, the energy of the day for prosperity, the energy of the day for materialistic gain, the energy of that, this was the perfect day to create this sort of situation. His Saturn, the transiting Saturn, was literally degree for degree completely conjunct one another in Aquarius. So if you're going to make a big move and you're going to change the game and you're going to introduce a different type of spiritual or high technology, this is where the frequency comes in, guys. Piece this together. I want you to follow me. This is where this comes in at. This is where this comes in at. To introduce a frequency, a tone throughout an entire day, and to see what could potentially happen to the people. What effect would it have? What could it do? Activate certain things that may or may not be in people's bloodstreams. Activate certain things in their chakras. See if this build up of this energy of these people being your fans, what could it do? What if I turn this tone this way? What if I did this way? What if I had them entering into my mouth once again as a portal? What if I show them this? What if I have these energies all around? What if? Let's see what's going to happen, because I believe I can introduce this and change the world. My world, to get what I want and my control over these people. Pluto was transiting conjunct, almost degree for degree, in Capricorn, his north node. Now, I want you to also notice something else. He has Pluto. Yes, he has Pluto and Uranus and his Lilith, which, by the way, transiting Venus was conjunct his Lilith, the dark side of him. Pluto, king of the underworld, personal transformer, the Phoenix, his north node. Your north node is where you're supposed to be attaining, where you're supposed to be going. Uranus and Neptune, both in retrograde in Capricorn. I want sudden, drastic change. I want to deeply, deeply, deeply change the people. Influence them in a deep way. You can say if it's dark or not. All this dark energy, all conjunct on the same day, along with the south node and the moon being conjunct his transiting moon. His natal moon. He was in complete agreement. His emotions were ready. The moon being in Sag, his moon being, and even if it's a few hours off, his moon being conjunct meant his emotions, his energy he was setting in motion was all in agreement to create, mesmerize, in a charismatic way, the people. Now, I just gave you a little taste of what I was seeing. That's just a little taste of what I saw in that chart. So like I said, I'm not going to hold you. We're going to wrap this one up and we're going to come back at it because I have more charts. I have the chart at 9:30 at night. That was the transiting chart, I believe. What time was that chart? I don't know if I have that. I think it was at 12 a.m. I'm not sure. But I would imagine if no, that was at 9:30. So I imagine if I transited it at the same time, it would have been, just, that's that transiting chart. It was the perfect time for him to do all of it. All of it. So think what you want. But I have more to show you that the cosmic energies were aligned in such a low vibrational fashion. There was no choice but for this to happen. Now, I have my suspicions about a few other things, and I've alluded to them if you've been paying attention in this conversation. I have my suspicions about a few other things and about what frequencies can and can't do, what they don't do and don't activate within us. But I don't want to leave you without this. You do not have to be, nor do your children, nor do your friends have to be subject to this type of energy. We have to begin to go on and be big and bold enough to make the statement to our loved ones and make the statement to all that we know and care about. You do not have to be subject to these situations. You can choose. You can choose. Believe it or not, you can indeed choose to ascend to the light so that you will be able to hear. I even heard some of the the young people there saying, something told me to get out of this crowd. Something told me this isn't safe. I told my friends to get out with me. Learn to listen to that intuition and learn to be discerning when you hear music on the radio and this and that. What is it doing to you? What are you putting in your body? What energy are you feeding to your soul? Because whatever you feed to your soul will grow. That's a guarantee. So we do not have to be subject to this. We can choose to live in a higher vibrational set point. We could choose to live in a higher vibrational realm. We don't have to choose this. I can go and look and listen to this music at this point, and I'm not affected by it. I'm living up here. I'm like, ooh, that ain't cool. Let me tell you. But I'm up here. But I made that choice that this is what I continue to feed myself. So we're going to go deeper into all of this. I feel like this is a strong part of what, my role is, and others of us that are teachers and leaders and mentors and oracles, if you will, to kind of show you and help you understand why these things happen, so that again, this is a huge reason why I think it's critically important that we actually learn about astrology and start using it from a higher dimensional perspective. Because I don't know that a standard astrologist would have said what I just said. Right? Historical. Let's elevate our game. And on that note, if you wish to elevate your game, if you're in tune with some of this stuff and you wish to become, some of you might want to become, certified in spiritual counseling, energy healing, and learn some of this from myself, and learn some of the other ways that we interact with energy and the metaphysics, and become certified as a spiritual counselor and energy practitioner. And also some of you maybe have the certifications you need, but you don't know how to get out here and be able to help people and be able to actually work and flow in abundance in your practice. I'm gonna need you to go down to that. There's a Linktree link down below, or to my website, heartofinspiration.net, and I need you to book a call, 15 minutes free consultation with me or my team, and see if the Practical Lightworker program can indeed help you achieve that. We need you, Lightworkers. We need you out here activated and working so that we can help all of those that are coming up behind us. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. We'll see you again very soon. Look out for my live. Thanks so much for your support. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Thank you.